Thanks everyone for joining today. So I'm sure many of you have had some experience with figuring out pricing for your product or your service, and you've experienced the challenge of not knowing what's the right decision, right? And you're not alone, because small and very large companies all experience the same challenge. I would recommend, even when you're working on your own pricing experiments, to get some inspiration from adjacent companies to yours. And you'll be amused by the fact, if you look at, say, Wayback Machine, which is a website that takes screenshots from websites in the past, you'll see how large companies, well-known companies that maybe like HubSpot, how their pricing has evolved over time. So this is an iterative process. And so part of today's webinar is to discuss a little bit about what are the things to think about when you are testing your pricing and how can you go about testing your pricing. And Candu is one of those tools that you could leverage to be able to get a little bit more data-driven insights from your target customers. So I just wanted to share an experience I had today where I was investigating a couple of pricing pages and discovered that Drift, they're a popular live chat software, they're running an experiment right now. And in the browser on the left, I am just using my regular day-to-day browser. And then on the right, I'm using an incognito browser. And you can see how the CTA for both of those sort of personas is very different. And this is effectively a pricing experiment that Drift is running, where they have a hypothesis that they've done some type of profiling of me. People in whatever my user category is would more likely convert to being a customer if they were to get a demo rather than try their product for free. So here's an experiment that real time, you can see this, visit Drift's pricing page. Even what's amusing about this is their little chatbot in the bottom right had identified that I'm probably using a competitor's software. So we are using Intercom. And so there's some tools out there that help you in identifying what tools businesses are using. Like one example is called Built With. And so if you type in a software like Intercom, it'll spit out a list of thousands of websites that are using Intercom. So this is probably what Drift did, and they're running an experiment right now. So what are things that you could test when you're testing pricing? So one type of pricing model or methodology is usage-based features. So typical SaaS products would have seats like Airtable or Notion, API calls or emails or monthly tracked users. So here on the right, this is a onboarding software called Chameleon that is charging based on the number of monthly tracked users, right? So this is sort of the primary feature of their product, and they're charging in a usage-based way to think about the pricing of your core features could be a capped approach. So this is a screenshot from AppQues, which is another onboarding software, and they're capping the number of seats to access their product. So one of the approach here is that they're effectively forcing users to upgrade to the next tier once they hit that ceiling of 3 users. This is another approach for your feature structure. Then another approach is a add-on or a bolt-on approach, where there's particular features that may be available across different tiers of a pricing plan, and those are paid for individually. This is from a email automation software called Autopilot. And so they charge for things like activity streams, which is just getting your data out of the software. They charge you $200 per month. So I should add that you can have different variations, and realistically, most companies do, where they'll have a mix of capped pricing for features, they'll have usage-based, and then they'll also have bolt-on, as well as even like bundles of features that are only accessible when you upgrade. And so some things to think about when you're testing your pricing is, for example, the experiment that Drift ran, which is, do I have a try free or a get demo call to action on my pricing, right? You may find that you'll drive more conversions, drive more revenue when you have a get demo button, right? Because maybe your product is a little bit technical and requires an onboarding assist. As far as testing your pricing with what features and how to charge for them, something you can test is for a particular advanced feature, do you make this like a pay per upgrade where it's available as a bolt-on, or do you add it to larger tiers? And then which particular tier do you offer it in? Is it in your business tier, like your mid tier, or is it in your enterprise tier? And then lastly, something else to test would be capping your particular feature, like the seats we saw with app queues, or making it more usage based. So do I charge per seat? So these are some of the things to think about when you're testing your pricing.